Happy Thursday, everybody. Today I'll cut short the chit chat and get straight to the first pages. Dennis Lehane's Shutter Island. This is a really good read, and not just because it has one of the best surprise endings ever. So if you haven't seen the movie adaptation, don't. Read the book first. Here then is the first page or so of Dennis Lehane's Shutter Island. Teddy Daniels' father had been a fisherman. He lost his boat to the bank in '31 when Teddy was 11, spent the rest of his life hiring on to other boats when they had the work, unloading freight along the docks when they didn't, going long stretches when he was back at the house by 10 in the morning, sitting in an armchair, staring at his hands, whispering to himself occasionally, his eyes going wide and dark. It had taken Teddy out to the islands when Teddy was still a small boy, too young to be much help on the boat. All he'd been able to do was untangle the lines, tie off the hooks. He'd cut himself a few times, and the blood dotted his fingertips and smeared his palms. They'd left in the dark, and when the sun appeared, it was a cold ivory that pushed up from the edge of the sea, and the islands appeared out of the fading dusk, huddled together as if they'd been caught at something. Teddy saw small pastel-colored shacks lining the beach of one, a crumbling limestone estate on another. His father pointed out the prison on Deer Island and the stately fort on Georges. On Thompson, the high trees were filled with birds, and their chatter sounded like the squalls of hail and glass. Out past them all, the one they called Shutter lay like something tossed from a Spanish galleon. Back then, in the spring of '28, it had been left to itself in a riot of its own vegetation, and the fort that stretched along its highest point was strangled in vines and topped with great clouds of moss. "Why Shutter?" Teddy asked. His father shrugged. "You with the questions. Always the questions." "Yeah, but why? Some places just get a name and it sticks. Pirates, probably." "Pirates?" Teddy liked the sound of that. He could see them. Big men with eye patches and tall boots, gleaming swords. His father said, "This is where they hid in the old days." His arms swept the horizon. These islands hid themselves, hid their gold. Teddy imagined chests of it, the coins spilling down the sides. Later he got sick, repeatedly and violently, pitching black ropes of it over the side of his father's boat and into the sea. His father was surprised because Teddy hadn't begun to vomit until hours into the trip, when the ocean was flat and glistening with its own quiet. His father said, "It's okay. It's your first time. Nothing to be ashamed of." Teddy nodded, wiped his mouth with a cloth his father gave him. His father said, "Sometimes there's motion, and you can't even feel it until it climbs up inside you." Another nod, Teddy unable to tell his father that it wasn't motion that had turned his stomach. It was all that water, stretched out around them until all that was left of the world. How Teddy believed that it could swallow the sky. Until that moment, he'd never known they were this alone.